Chris, how the hell are you, sir?
I am well. How are we doing today?
Listen to me, man. This is the best steak I have ever had in my entire life. Now, let me tell you something, because listen, I know you're a chef. I have a little, like the mark I had. My wife, her grandfather was a butcher for like 40, 50 years. Okay. Had his own shop. And they had this, I think it was like a 50th wedding anniversary. Okay. And I think I was like 26 at the time, 26, 27. I had like a Captain Cook barbecue, whatever. And it was like, my wife had gotten it for me back in like 2007, right? And that's when like barbecues galore and stuff, they were throwing out like all kinds of things because everybody was like doing really, really well in 2007. 2008, it was all over. But in 2007 version, they gave out they were giving out these barbecues with built-in rotisseries. Yes. And I was like, oh, rotisserie. Like so I go to Costco, I get a lamb. I try to cook them. I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. Right. Try chicken. It's falling all over the place. One day I get a ribeye, like a ribeye roast. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. And my father-in-law comes over for dinner one night and I make one. He's like, oh, hell yeah. So for the 50th wedding anniversary for the butcher, I load the barbecue into the back of my truck and drive it an hour, and I cook this 16-pound ribeye roast in the back of the truck, rotisserie. All I do is salt, cracked pepper, rock salt. I'm a big olive oil guy. Drench in olive and then just keep going. And they said, this was my barometer. I've never beat this. At like 26, I peaked. It was like I peaked in high school. At 26, I was like, this is great. And he was like, this is the best steak I've ever had. Now that was coming from I was like, yeah, I did it. Yeah. But this blows the hell out of that.
Wow.
I don't know what you've done or how you did it. You got to tell me how you cook this steak. And by the way, like I've never seen a tomahawk steak this big. Oh, wow. I am going to do horrible things to that bone when you're talking. Just damn, man, talk to me about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and again, I'm sorry, you're the plant manager for Hoagland Meats.
Yeah,
you also happen to be like a former executive private chef.
That is correct. Absolutely.
All right.
So, I always say that we have to have a solid foundation and stick to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Okay. Break it down. Where are you sourcing your proteins from, right? Are you getting it from Hoagland Meat? Because you should be. We're local, and we deliver, right, to the Treasure Valley. We hang our beef 14 days. We process from local ranchers. We have local ranchers that share the same value and interest and have the same integrity that we do when it comes to raising these cattle, right? We want to raise them right. We want to raise them hormone-free, no antibiotics or any of that stuff, right?
Is all your beef hormone-free, antibiotic-free, the whole bit?
That is correct. We make them side and waiver when it intakes. Remember, we intake and we process from A to Z at that plant.
Oh, so you're everything.
Everything, absolutely. So when they come in, right, we have to make sure that the cattle is in good standing. Literally, is it standing? We do not
take healthy.
Yeah,
is it walking
exactly right. You got to be able to walk off, and we got to be holdy, right? That way, the USDA inspector can inspect you, right? Because we have a USDA inspector on site, right? From the moment we open to the moment we shut down processing. She's there looking, making sure that we are, holding ourselves to the highest, honor and integrity and making sure that we're taking care of our customers.
Right.
So,
and that starts with taking care of the animal,
exactly.
Right? Like that's one I remember seeing this documentary years ago about a kosher meat production company in like the Midwest, and they got huge. They were monsters, but there was this big expose where like the animals were not being treated well. They were not only not being treated well up to the standard of kosher, but they weren't being treated well up to like anyone's standard. There was like, the video of the forklift, like pushing the cow, and it's like, it's like, that's not good, man. That's not a happy cow.
That is not a happy cow. Absolutely. So, when it comes to that standard, you see those videos because to them, time.
Pull this mic a little bit closer. I want to.
Time is money to those people. Any time that you are not processing, you are losing money.
Right.
So, at that point in time, they sacrifice something for something else.
Sure.
And at what point in time are you sacrificing enough to where you lost the original idea and or thought and or goal that you had in mind? That's what I love about Hoagland Meat. We are local. We don't deliver outside of the state. We don't ship. We don't do none of that. We take care of our own. And that means that there is plenty to go around. And there's plenty more to go around, because if we get supported, then we grow. That way we can take care of more local. But that is our plan. Local beef for local people, right? So we take this steak, right? This steak has probably been hanging 21 days. It got cut. I specifically cut this off the primal. I said, ooh, I want this one. Boom. Our tomahawks are going to be at least 2 pounds.
Yeah, look, you slice this one up. There's plenty for. We're both eating like kings.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So at least 2 pounds, or it's probably going to be about 2.5 to 3 inches is what I like to do on our tomahawks, right? Our tomahawks are going to come with an 8-inch bone, right? So, you know, when it comes to presentation, nothing presents more like a tomahawk, right? There's nothing that just gives you that primal feeling when you see that piece of meat walk in. It's like it just awakens from something within.
Dude, and to that end, I went to I'm not going to name the restaurant, but I went to a spot downtown, okay? And it was for my birthday like a year or two ago. And the wife takes me out, nice place, expensive steak. And I was like, yeah, I'll get the tomahawk. It'll be great. Dude, the thing came out, the bone stuck out 1 inch past the steak. I was like,
that is not a tomahawk.
That's not a tomahawk. Like, wait a minute. And again, this was not a cheap steak. And, you know, my wife was really trying to treat me, and I'm appreciative every second. But at the same time, I'm like, man, come on. Like, don't call it call it like a bone in.
I wanted, yeah, exactly. I mean, at that point, at best, it is a cowboy steak.
Yeah, right.
At best. But a tomahawk, no. A tomahawk, you have to have at least 4 inches.
You got to be able to bludgeon somebody with it.
Exactly. Exactly. You need a handle for you to put it to your mouth, too.
Oh my God, I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, that's the definition right there. Oh my God, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
I tasted it. It was better tasting.
That was some SAMR stuff right there when you bit into that. It's just...
God, that's going to be a clip. Anyway, keep going. So you cut this off specifically.
Specifically. Absolutely, right? So we purchase cattle from our local ranchers as well. So we utilize those cattle, we put them in our inventory, and we just keep it moving that way. So I picked a piece of meat, I grabbed it, I took my culinary experience that I have been working in the industry for about 25 years, and obviously I work for a living. So I showed up to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, right? Handled my business, did what I had to do, and then got off work at 12, went shopping, went back home, busted this out real quick, and then came here.
And by the way, I don't know how you timed it perfectly, but you got here, we unpacked everything, you cut it, we started eating. It tastes like I just sat down at a restaurant, and this was like perfectly. So like, I don't know how you managed that. They're like, all right, I'm cook it here, do the whole rest, and then like, man, it's the best. I'm telling you right now, that was the best steak I've ever had. My God. Hang on, I'm getting this loaded potato too. You guys don't do potatoes. Just Hoagland Meats.
Oh, it's Hoagland Meats.
Hoagland
yes,
Meats.
Absolutely. Just every style of cut of beef that you would like. But yeah, you know, that's just a baked potato. So that baked potato, I take it and I put bacon grease on the outside. Okay. Bacon grease, right? That's just going to give you a texture on the outside. I put a coating of salt on the outside of that, which is going to draw the moisture out of the potato and give you a nice, fluffy, flaky potato.
Oh, because the moisture it makes it like
soggy.
Imagine if like you're in Florida, like it's just like swampy.
So you get mashed potatoes. There should be a textural difference from mashed potatoes to a baked potato. And one of those identifiers is it flaky. Yeah,
dude, I was ill prepared for this. Okay, but let's come back to tomahawk. So you select this one, and then you take it out, and your recipe sounds simple, right? Like there's a lot of dance.
Yes.
But the recipe itself, like what were the seasonings you put on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one had salt, pepper, garlic.
Great.
That's it.
That's it.
That is it.
Now again, like garlic salt, or like did you?
No. So I took some garlic powder.
Got it. Garlic powder. Great.
Garlic powder.
Great.
Put that on top of there. I took it out. I let it sit for about 35 to 40 minutes at room temperature. Then I seasoned it. I start by seasoning the top of it, and then I let it rest for 5 minutes. So those ingredients and that seasoning permeates into that meat, so it doesn't fall off when you flip it.
Dude, okay. Question for you though. What is it about the nature of a more room temperature meat that you're going for? Because I've heard the exact same thing that you say, which is, hey, you got to let it. You take it out. It was in the fridge. It's nice and cool. You got to let it sit there and come up to temp. And then you start working. Like, what happens if you just take it right out of the fridge and you put it on the grill?
Well, I mean, you're gonna. It's going to take you a lot harder to get to the destination.
Gotcha.
Let's just put it that way.
Gotcha.
Right. And then it is okay for some methods. Like if you like a really hard bark, I would recommend that you go from the fridge right onto your grill, right? Because it's going to take longer for the inside of that steak, and you're going to get a harder sear on the outside.
Gotcha.
But that's if you like it like a really hard bark, like a
brisket.
Yeah. If not, then you just get there faster, and it just allows cooking time to get you there. Because we want to enjoy that piece of meat as fast as humanly possible. So any steps in which way I can get that food into my mouth and enjoy it, I'm down.
God bless you. All right, take another bite. I don't want to rob you of your steak over there.
No, absolutely.
So, a lot of times what I do then is, and I've kind of started stepping away from this because although I like the experience, if it gets done right, I get a lot of pushback. So usually when I'm doing a steak, I really enjoy olive oil on the outside because it adds a bit. But the problem is essentially when I go to sear, it's so damn hot. The olive oil lights on fire, and it's like, damn it, man. And I lose an effective sear because then I'm messing around with like trying to stop it from, burning, just like becoming a charred fireball. So you don't put anything like that on the outside. You just go straight sear.
If I use any oil, I am going to use beef tallow.
Okay.
From my plant, which I have taken, ground, rendered, and used.
Gotcha. Okay, so you make your own tallow.
So I make my own tallow. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Okay. That's the name of the game if I'm going to do anything like that.
And that just adds a little bit more moisture to the outside.
And so no, that usually I do when I am like cooking on a cast iron.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I put that tallow on there because I want to fry. I want to really get a hard bark on the outside of that because sometimes I like to sear it and just get a really harder sear. It's so thick that, man, you can get a real nice, right? But at the expense of, smoking out your house.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because we don't have hood vents like we do in restaurants, right? You got these tiny rinky-dinky little 5 horsepower little fans.
You better open that
chugging,
window, baby.
Yeah. Team of the train trying to go.
I always have to go grab the smoke detector and put it in a drawer. I'm like, this is about to get real.
Do I have the broom so I can wave it?
I got a laundry room with a fan, like, in the other room, I turned that on.
Yeah.
Like, just like as much ventilation as possible. Okay. So your preparation then, 35-minute sit, you season it, you give it 5 minutes for the seasoning to go in. What's the cooking process? Because this is the piece where just from the first bite of that, even watching you cut it, it's like, okay, there was a dance here. There was something aside from just the ingredients, be it the protein it's like you can have high quality protein, you can have great ingredients, but if you're not dancing right with the flame and the temperature and the timing, it's all screwed up. So like, what was the process once you got it ready?
Yeah, absolutely. So at my house, I cook with a Traeger. So I took that Traeger and I turned it up to its highest setting, which is going to be 450.
Let me ask you something. I'm sorry to interrupt. You can get back to it in a sec, but like, you're a pro chef. Don't you, like, I view the Traeger as such a cheat. Like, you're cheating. It's like having the dance steps on the ground. It's like you just turn it right. It's like, I set it to this and like essentially microwave it. And it's like, damn it, man.
So everything has its place and purpose.
Okay.
You don't always have to use it for its smoking feature. You can use it for its potential to generate heat, which is sometimes I need, right? I don't want the smoke. I just want the heat sometimes. I don't want to have to bust out my other grill to do so, right?
Totally fair.
Because it's smoking season. Because right now everybody's ordering tri-tip. Everybody's ordering brisket. That stuff, you got to smoke it before you cook it. You got to go low and slow on that bad boy. And, that just truly just holds a flame. Plus, it's got all the bells and whistles, internal temperature gauges. So
you got
it's
Bluetooth
hard. Yeah, so it's hard to overcook.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I had a dear friend. I was an SAT tutor before I moved here. And I had a dear friend who I worked with this kid and I refused to accept payment. He's like, I got to pay you. I'm like, you're not going to pay me, dude. Your kid came in my class. Like, I loved having him. So one day he shows up with his Traeger, like a beautiful Traeger I was like, oh my God, man, roughly about the same cost of the program. I was like, dude, you didn't have to do like, thank you so much. Like, of course, get it all set up. The problem I ran into, SAT tutoring, you got to do at night. Right. So you got to do it when kids are out of school. So between like 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock at night, that's generally when I worked. Well, dude, you're not turning on a Traeger to cook at 6 a.m. for lunch. Yeah. Right. Generally, Traeger's like, hey, I got off work early at 2 and I ate at 7. Like, boom. So my whole lifestyle around cooking and grilling was like, no, I need something fast at noon or something like that. Like, I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. to start it. So when I moved up here, I gave it to another friend of mine. I was like, I'm not like, this is not, somebody gave this to me. It's a beautiful working piece of equipment. I don't use it. I move up here now. I have time. I'm like, everybody's using Traegers. I'm like, yeah, son of a bitch. Like, I got to go get that thing.
My go-to, right? Because we only have sunshines and rainbows probably, probably 6 months out of the year, right? Yeah, we have a nice autumn, and then we have a nice winter here. Cast iron is my next way to go. All right, I got a 12-inch cast iron at home. I didn't cast iron this because you ain't fitting this in a 12-inch.
You'd need
cast
like a
iron.
flat, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely need
a
big guy coming soon. Then, so dude, I love those, man. You get because you can take the entire dish and just stick it in your oven and finish cooking it. If you got a bigger steak, if it's small enough, like inch and a half, inch and a quarter, that steak is going to cook anywhere between 12 to 14 minutes.
Yeah,
you know, I eat my steaks medium at worst. I am a mid-rare kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We cook almost exclusively with cast iron.
Yeah.
We don't and we have the Lodge cast iron, and then we have, somebody gave us an Emerald thing. But yeah, like, we love cast iron. Yeah.
Cast iron is the way to go.
Yeah, it's the best. Anyway, so again, you get your Traeger up to 450. I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
All right.
So for this one, I got the Traeger up to 450, and then I just put it on the bottom rack. Okay, put it on the bottom rack. I did 4 minutes. One side, and then I quarter turned it, right? So if you were looking at a clock, you go from 10 to 2.
Got it.
Right? Not a digital clock, but the old school clock, remember? And you go from 10 to 2. And then I did that for 8 minutes total. Then I flipped it. All I'm doing is searing the outside of that steak, giving it some good looking diamond marks so that I can, and then what I did was I stuck it on that top rack. Gotcha. I turned it down to 350. I let it do its thing. It probably took about 33 to 35 minutes to get to about 125.
Wow.
And then I took it out.
Okay, listen, I'm obviously out of my depth here, but when you're talking 35 minutes for a steak, that's like I do 40 minutes at 400 on a tri-tip.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're talking about like almost roast.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm not disputing anything. Like, obviously, whatever the hell you did is what I need to do from here on out forever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So essentially, you just give it 8 minutes sear, 4 minutes each on each quarter.
Each side. So that's going to be at least 16-minute cook time.
Right.
Just in the searing process. Then you add the additional time. You have to think here, right? We're dealing with about a 3.5 inch steak here. You have to let it cook. It has to permeate through the center, and it's going to cook from the outside in. So the best way to do so, to have an even texture and just evenness all the way through around the steak, make sure your steak is cut uniformly, right? It has to be even. Can't be bigger on one side than the other side, right? Make sure that the marbling throughout is even, because if it's more to one side than the other, it's going to create flare-ups on one side, which is going to let it get seared or flare up a little bit more, which is going to cook a little bit more. Yeah. Okay,
it's gonna be like Two-Face, scald on one side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then from there, man, it's just, for me, anyways, it's just easy peasy.
Yeah. Now there is a point in the cooking when you actually take it out and apply like a rub, not a rub, but like you glaze it or something as well, right?
Absolutely.
So why don't you do that from the start? Like, after you sear it, why don't you just apply right then? Like, why wait halfway through?
Well, usually it all depends on what you want to do, because you do it halfway in between, because usually I'm trying to caramelize something or get something to render so that it permeates into what I'm doing, and I want it to melt into what I'm doing, not cook into.
Okay. Melt into what you're doing, and not like, I'm sorry, you got to treat me like a 5-year-old.
No,
like,
you're good.
What
right?
does that mean?
So I want the butter to melt on the steak, not brown on the steak.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a different flavor profile.
It's because you don't nobody likes the taste of burnt butter.
No.
But everybody likes the taste of melted butter. So that's what you're trying to do. That's why you apply those stages. And sometimes I take it, I apply it, and then I only cook it for like an additional 2 or 3 minutes. But those 2 or 3 minutes are going to make or break, right?
Yeah.
It's going to make or break the what did we say? The experience.
The experience.
The experience. Dude, it's great, right? Because you can remember the last time you had a great steak. You can remember, you can smell something, and then it can take you back to when you actually had that. That is the power that food has us. Plus, it's the easiest way for 2 people to socialize.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I remember the last steak I had out, and I remember how bad it was. Like, I remember the taste of it. I remember the smell of it. And I was out with, friends and, trying to be positive, like, yeah, it's great. And then I was like, that steak was terrible. Like that food was not it. And it's like, it's fine. It's like you go out, part of, you have kids, right?
I did.
Yeah. So like part of going out, especially when you're an adult, it's like, can somebody else just cook and clean for me? Like I can't. So I'm not sitting here complaining, but it's nothing like this experience. Like this is wild. Like I'll clean dishes all day long to get meat like this. So when you're dealing with a tomahawk like this, like the stakes, pardon the pun, the stakes are really high. Like if you can't ever go back, right? You overcook it, it's over. You're dealing with a really high end piece of protein. You really can't screw it up. So when people are trying to start to learn how to cook like this, right? Like if I wanted to go home, I'm like, all right, look, I'm going to take like 5 years and I'm going to learn how to cook a tomahawk.
No, you're
like
fine.
Chris, I wouldn't start like what's a good starting steak where you can really start building your capacity to layer on flavor profiles as you put them. So
when cooking, there's many different factors. Okay, the marbleization in the steak, the thickness of the steak, what kind of cut it is, which way the grain is going, all affects what you're doing. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the protein to be exactly the same, right? Because if it's exactly the same, or which way the grain is cooking, which way to cut it, so you get the best texture, right? It's not chewy. It's not, you're sitting there chewing on like, but you bite it. There's just a little bit and then it just melts in your mouth. So there's different ways, right? I always recommend it. Anytime I train somebody, it'd be like, I gave them training wheels. It's called a thermometer. Okay. It's called a probe thermometer. You're going to stick that into the middle internal temperature. You're going to leave it there for about 15 seconds. That's going to give you a true reading. Okay. And then you just cook up accordingly from there. Usually after you temp something, it is about a minute per ounce to get it to the desired temperature that you're trying to get to. Okay. Then once you graduate from the thermometer, you can visually see the steak. Sure. Then the juices will start talking to you. Okay. A rare steak is going to be like a matte finish on the wall. Got it. Medium rare is going to be like semi-gloss. Once you start getting some pink running through, that's medium. Brown juice is medium well. Clear juice, well done. So the meat will speak to you if you can read what it's trying to say to you. I've never heard that for a steak. When I was at the end of college, I'm not bad at cooking a burger. And at the end of college, I had a friend who was like, I guess, just learning how to cook a burger. I'm like, how the hell did you miss this, right? And he was asking me when to flip it. I'm like, you gotta wait for the meat to sweat. Yes. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you see how that the top of that patty's dry? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, it ain't ready. But like, you see this one over here? See how it's sweating? Yeah. It's like, that's ready. Like that's ready to go. That's telling you it's at the midway point, medium, which means flip me. Yeah. I'm halfway. Finish me off on the other side. Yeah. I didn't know you could do that with steak. So I thought it was just because the surface of the burger was, far more permeable and malleable than a steak top. But you can, even when you sear it, you can still see the juices coming through? Absolutely. Absolutely. And you said brown liquid is medium well. And then clear is going to be well done. And then you pour ketchup on it. And just, I mean, it might as well be meatloaf at that point, right? At least wrap it in some bacon so it tastes good. God bless it. Okay, so once you get, again, a roughly 16 minutes to sear, 35 minutes to get it up to temp. Taking it out and applying some base to it, right? Not cooking it in, but just getting it to melt on. Exactly. Okay, and that's butter. You use butter. Okay, great. Once it's at your temp and you shoot for 125, okay, what do you do then? So like if you're eating at home instead of, because what you did here is like you had to transport it. If I was eating it at home, I would let it rest for 10 minutes after that. What it's going to do is going to continue cooking while it's resting, and it's always going to go up 5 more degrees. That's why I pull it out at 125, because I like it mid-rare. Mid-rare is 130. Gotcha. So even if you miss the mark, you still get a couple of degrees. So it's going to be mid-rare, just a tiny bit plus. Gotcha. For me. That works for me. And usually when I'm eating a piece of meat, it's going to be a 16-ounce cut ribeye. It's going to be cut inch to inch and a quarter, and I'm going to eat it medium rare. God.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I keep staring at the bone. I'm going to grab it again in a second. Okay, now speaking of bone, one of the difficulties with doing a bone-in, be it an awesome tomahawk like this or cowboy or just bone-in ribeye, is the meat directly connected to the bone is going to cook at in a different way than the meat, on the other side.
Yes.
I have heard people say that they actually put it bone down really hot and then pull it off and let it rest. Because essentially what they're doing is they're trying to heat up that bone and get the heat to transfer through to the meat that's connected to it. Because that, if they don't, it's going to be this giant hunk of cold that's going to slow it. So you're going to have like a medium rare in the steak, but then you're going to have rare attached to the bone.
That is correct. So like you said, one of the easiest ways to do that is once you get it to the desired temperature, you're going to flip it on your bone. You're going to heat that bone, like you said. That heat is going to permeate through, and it's going to get some of that. Because when you got bone, you're going to have ligaments, you're going to have tendons, you're going to have that higher stuff. So you want to get that at a higher temperature so you can kind of start breaking that stuff down. You're not going to get that just from one side of the bone because you have different permeations, should I say, right? The bone is going to be a little bit harder to get through than the piece of meat is.
Sure.
Right. So, people cheat. Usually what I do if I'm doing like that is I apply a slight pressure or I add a weight next to the bone. That is going to help it cook at the same time. Now, I do not apply weight to the meat because you want to keep every piece of juice you can on the meat. I just want to make sure I'm very clear that I'm applying the weight to the bone.
Got it.
Weight to the bone. Absolutely.
Do you have like a round top?
Absolutely.
So it's like a smash mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You just put it on top on the bone side. Make sure it's on the bone side. All it's going to do is going to apply pressure from the bone to the meat. So it's going to help it cook in it and distribute heat a lot evener.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Do you ever... I know that people have a lot of toys and a lot of different styles, a lot of flash, especially in the culinary world. Some people I see really go for like torches or heat guns or things of that nature. You just use the Traeger. Do you ever go for like torching the outside? Here's one for you. So in the wake of my rotisserie at 26 years old, right? There was a request for a repeat like the following year. And I'm like, well, I can't. Because one thing that happened is I had the barbecue in the back of I had this truck back then. And of course, when you're dealing with a 16-pound ribeye roast, and rotisserie in particular, the amount of fat and juice that came off that bad boy, like the whole back of my truck was just covered in fat, right? And I was like, I can't do that again. Like, that's not a good idea. Anyway, so we ended up just doing these big roasts in the oven. And the guy I was doing it with, this guy, Dennis is like, hey, look, I've heard that we can cook these by torching the outside and then setting the oven to 125 and letting them cook for like 24 hours. And the whole point was like, if we torch the outside, the meat's not going to go bad. If we can sear the hell out of it, then it's gonna lock in the outside, and then we just bring it up to temp over 24 hours. Now listen, I was not about to do that at like an Easter celebration and get everybody sick, because I had like that happened a year or two before, and then like, not going to be me, man. Anyway, but is that something that you've ever done to augment cooking times, or just, because you can do that super low and slow? And it looked intriguing. He had a very fancy oven. He's like, my oven starts at 100 degrees. So we could load this up at 125. I'm like, Dennis, I'm not doing this. Like, no, that's crazy. I'm sure it would have worked out, but
I'm sure it would have worked out, but at 130 degrees, it's such a slow time for you to get to where you're going that you could potentially be in the danger zone for longer than you would like.
What's the danger zone to you?
The danger zone is 41 to 140, right? Okay. Any time that you're in that zone for a prolonged period of time, you're just promoting the growth of bacteria that may or may not be present.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
On whole meat, it's less prevalent, but not saying that it is not there. It usually
be riskier if you're making a meatloaf.
Exactly.
Hanging out at 70
because
degrees.
Because the outside is going in.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, usually any pathogens or any stuff like that is going to be introduced by the outside person cooking it, right?
Gotcha.
That's why sanitation is super important. Are you washing your hands?
Sure.
Do you have the proper gloves? Is the equipment you're using sanitary, right? And then you move forward.
Okay. So even if there was a really hard torch on the outside, that theoretically would have gone a long way in preventing any kind of bacterial infusion from handling. So perhaps it would have worked, but it is just a riskier cooking mechanism.
It all depends on you.
Me would have screwed it up for sure.
Right. What kind of equipment are you using? Right. I'm used to using commercial ovens. They circulate, they get really hot, and they're meant to handle volume. Right. When I was doing, when I worked for, like, say, Texas Roadhouse, I don't want to give out their secrets or anything, but one of the things I did was do that sear method. They took it after they let it marinate for at least 12 hours. Then they took it and then they stuck it in there, and then they put it rib side up, so where you can see the rib side. Then they seared it that way for about 10 minutes. Then they flip it over like at 400 degrees, and then they flip it over, and then they do it again for another 10, 12 minutes until you get this super amazing bark on the outside, because that's just going to be your flavor. Because when you're doing prime rib, all your flavor is going to be associated to the outside of the meat, so you want to make sure you do it right.
Yeah, that bark.
Yeah.
My wife and I have we do, and again, not this good, but we do ribeye roast, and I always do cracked pepper, rock salt. If I'm doing an indirect heat, like I'll do the olive oil, but then I do rosemary and do that bark when you slice it open. Oh my God, man. Like they've become, and our boys, I have 3 boys, and they, when they were younger, they weren't huge beef fans, but they've since got into it, and now they're like, oh my God, give me that piece of fat. It's like, and you get that crunch. Getting the bark, this really successfully got a bark, but it was not, you didn't lose like a centimeter or half centimeter of meat. That was the thing. Sometimes when I try to do a nice bark, I lose like a ½ inch of meat.
Yeah.
Because it's too hot. And then, the very center will be nice, medium rare. But it's like I cooked it too long. But to get that bark, that's essentially the time frame that I had to do it. So like, how did you get such a strong bark without cooking through the meat too fast?
Yeah.
The meat was very uniformly cooked.
For that one, basically what I did was when I was cooking it, I just watched for flare-ups. Okay. I wanted some flare-ups evenly throughout the meat, not just directly in one spot. And then, right, I've been working on a grill for such a long time that I could move a steak from one side to another while still matching the grain tread line, so I don't mess up the diamonds. But then you just move from one side to the other side. So I am a little bit more directly involved with the cooking of the meat because I'm going for a certain look.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not trying to burn it. I'm not trying to undersear it. I just want it perfectly because, when that fire just hits that meat, you get that natural, just smoky flavor that you're trying to go for. And, but it's
like 10 seconds too much. Yeah. It's like a little goes a long way.
Exactly. Right. Because then that's when people be like, it's burnt. It ain't burnt. It's Cajun.
It's Cajun.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I was dating this girl before I met my wife, and she was living in this apartment. This was in college, and she was like, "Hey, we'll do a barbecue." And like I always grilled. It was this long process. Nobody ever taught me how to grill. It was like this long process of trial and error. Anyway, so this gal comes over, one of her friends from work or something, and is telling me all about. She's like, "Listen, you're cooking chicken," and we're on the old Weber kettle, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do chicken tonight." I'm 20, 21, and she's like, "Hey, listen, here's the deal, like." My father-in-law, he just burned, like I suffered through the burned chicken forever. Like, don't do that. And she's like, listen, this is what you do. Get it real hot, put the chicken on, close everything, and leave it for 20 minutes and then come back and you're not going to have any burn. It's going to be totally fine. And I'm sitting here like the 21-year-old Matt. I'm like, oh yeah, is that what you guys do? You're like, okay, let me just show you how to cook. I burned the hell out of it. It was like you might as well just dropped it in a lava pit and pulled it back out. And I could see like the long, when she was like, oh, like just eating the black chicken. And I was like, oh, what a dumb thing, man. So like, yeah, you want some smoke flavor, but you literally are playing with fire when you're doing that. It's like, you got to be really careful. So do you have like a bottle, or do you just move it, or like, what do you do if it's?
I do have a spray bottle.
Okay, great.
Okay, it does help with flare ups.
Just like calm it down there.
You're just calming it down.
Yeah.
But when cooking, it's almost a fine dance between direct and indirect heat.
Sure.
Right, because a lot of these, like your grills or this or that, they're going to have that bottom plate, which is directing a lot of heat, which I kind of like because it keeps it consistent. You have a consistent heat all the way through going up. If you're working with fire, it depends what kind of source material are you using, right? Are you using charcoal? Charcoal is going to burn at a higher temperature. Are you using wood, right? What type of wood, right? Some are denser, some are hotter, some will have a higher burning point.
Yeah.
So you have to like factor all that stuff into to what you're doing. Stick to what you can do, master it, move on, find another skill set.
Stick to what you can do.
Stick to what you can do, right? Like, you know, if you can't run, you crawl.
Yeah.
And then you crawl your butt off until you can walk. You walk your butt off until you can run. And you have to take those steps. You can't bypass, right? We weren't born to crawl and fly.
Yeah, right.
There's several steps that we have to learn in between. And you know, and those are going to be, you know, unfortunately, those are going to be like, how do you call it? What did I call them? They are not career building. What do you call it? It is when you have a people building skill day.
Personnel something. It's like,
oh my God, it is
personal investment day.
Yeah, it's a personal investment day, right? It's like you're going through so much, and you're just like,
you got to realize every day is a personal building day for me. It's like, you sucked yesterday, you better be better today, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember one time.
How many? If I may ask, how many people are in your plant? You're like the manager. How many people there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we supply 17 heads in our department currently at the moment, not counting the owner, Karen.
Gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so we have Charity who works for us, who is at the plant. So she's basically our front desk receptionist.
Gotcha.
She handles all phone calls, any online sales. She runs the front store, answers any question that you have online or for the app or the website, right? She is just a master. She's the guru. She does our payroll. She's amazing, right? Then we have Steven, who's the numbers guy.
Steven.
Yeah.
Somebody took my stapler.
No. He's got a really cool mustache and he's really nice. No, but dude,
Steven the stash guy.
Yeah, Steven the stash guy. No, dude, he's just amazing with spreadsheets and all that computer stuff that, you know, because, you know, there is the vision and then there's reality.
Right.
And then he kind of like brings that to reality. This is what
Love
we're
that
at.
for you.
Yeah.
This is where we are.
This is where we are. And it helps us really drive metrics. Back to that point that we were having before. Is driving metrics, right? In order to actually drive a metric, you have to be able to measure it, right? If you're not measuring, if you're just guessing and you're assuming, it's not an actuality. You can't put an action plan to that to actually do what you need to do. So, dude, he's awesome. Then we have Spencer, who is our wholesale guy. He goes around and he slangs that Hoagland meat.
Oh,
Yeah, he's just slanging that meat, right? He's the guy that, you know, will go up. Hey, he's the manager working, blah, 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 sits down. Hey, I'd love to bring my meat to your store. I'd love to stop by and give you some samples, talk about what we do. We're local. And, you know, he just drives it and pushes that way. We have the capability and the processes to do a lot here and it just really give to the Treasure Valley that, you know, he just really gets us there, right? Because, you know, we've only been in business for 2.5 going on 3 years. Like when they started, like it was, you know, everybody was working every day to figure out what was going on, what's this, what's that. But, you know, now that we have the people and the manpower behind it, like he has the capability to execute and really bring some of these big whales and some of these big accounts in that'll just drive us further to what we need to do.
As far as like if I wanted to go to a restaurant or, you know, so do you guys supply directly to restaurants as well? Mm-hmm. Oh, dude. Okay. So who carries Hoagland Meats?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the last chef job I was at, I worked for Land Ocean. Land Ocean, I don't know if you know where they're located. They're on Eagle Road in the parking lot of Trader Joe's.
Got it.
Okay. You know, that place really was really awesome because as the executive chef, you literally had a free clean slate to do whatever you want, whatever protein you wanted to bring in, whatever special you wanted to run, what's in season, what's going on, what's popular, what's trending. Practice it, do it, master it, sell it to the masses, and just bring different flavor profiles. So the first thing I did was like, hey, I used to work here. I know they purchase local. This should be an easy sell for you.
Nice.
This is what they're looking for. I went in there. I cut up some samples. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, check it out. They're like, okay, we want these, and these. Boom, just like that. And then I was like, hey, check out these restaurants. Hey, check out these places. Hey, this chef's just called me asking me if I could send them some samples. So then that's how we start networking that way. There's all these other connections that I used to have with other people that start hitting me up. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm a sous chef over here. Oh, great. Let me talk to your chef.
Man, what a gangster play to get like a pro chef in who knows the area and knows what people are looking for.
Yeah.
Like, that's genius.
Yeah.
When you did this one, you actually added on a mushroom sauce on top.
I did.
And it was fire. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not upset for 1 second about that sauce. I was surprised though, because I'm like, I don't like, this is such a crazy piece of meat and it looks so good. Adding a sauce, it's like, I don't know about this. Now, mind you, I was happy for every goddamn bite. I wish I had another one. What's the thinking with the sauce, and how did you make that sauce?
Yeah. So this sauce, I learned it from Chef Costa that worked at Land Ocean.
Okay.
And this is his brandy peppercorn sauce.
Okay.
And it's super simple. It's 7 ingredients.
You can't tell me what the ingredients are.
Oh, of course I can.
Tell me what the hell?
Absolutely.
What are they?
So the number one ingredient is going to be mushrooms.
Okay. Yeah. They were fantastic, by the way.
Yeah. So those are going to be baby bellas. So baby portobellas.
Right.
Or portobellinis. You take those and you slice them. I like them a little bit thicker because I like the texture. I don't like a rubbery mushroom.
Yeah, and sometimes they also fold on themselves.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah, they had some thickness to
Yeah.
it.
So then I added shallots, butter, salt, pepper, beef base, and the brandy. And that's it. Yeah. So basically, I started with the alcohol, and then I cooked that down until the alcohol evaporated. Then I added the butter. Then I added the shallots. Then I added the mushrooms. Then I added the cream sauce. Then I added the beef base. And that's it.
I gotta listen. It's kind of a problem, and I'll tell you why. I don't like to lie to my family. And we're going on a big trip. My wife's family organized this gigantic trip. And we're leaving in a week. Okay. And we're going to be gone on the trip for her family over Father's Day. And so my wife, doing me right, she's like, listen, we're going to celebrate Father's Day for you before we go on this trip. So we're celebrating on Sunday. And I know that they're planning some like big piece of meat that they're going to cook. And I'm going to have to look it up because I can't disappoint I'm going to have to look at my 8-year-old and be like, Bud, this is incredible. This is the best steak ever. I pray they never see this episode because this is so good. Like, you've ruined it, Chris. I'm damaged.
That is the catch-22. When you get really good at what you do, you create this great experience and flavor that when they go other places fall short, and sometimes spectacularly short.
Did you ever see that movie? I just watched that movie, Pig, with was it Nicolas Cage? Could have been Nicolas Cage, yeah, but it was Pig.
Okay.
That's the whole thing, and he's this dude in Seattle, like in the wilderness, Pacific Northwest, and he's got this truffle hog.
Oh.
And he's just like the whole start of the movie. It's like the first 5 minutes. He's like disgusting, living in a shack.
Yeah.
And he goes out with this pig, and he like takes his knife and he scoops up a bunch of dirt. And his pig's and they go around, they like find this truffle, right? And he's like, good job, good. And he goes home, and it's this whole process of him making this like truffle something quiche, and he's in like literally in a shack, and you have no idea what's going on. He makes a bowl, cracks an egg, and is like doing this thing, and he's like really like you can tell the sensitivity. Like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? And then he's eating it out kind of on his porch, not saying anything, and his pig's like walking around. Turns out he's this like, this guy shows up later scene in the movie, 10 minutes in to like buy these truffles from him, tries to talk to him. Nicolas Cage doesn't say anything, and he's all nasty, like bearded. And then the crux comes when at like night, some car pulls up and like beats the hell out of Nicolas Cage and steals the pig. And the pig's like, and Nicolas Cage freaks out. Obviously, he goes, rips this tarp off his truck. Couldn't even get the truck to start. He ends up walking into, you find out it's like the Seattle area. And he finds this guy. He's like, where's my pig? And this whole movie is this like this backstory of how Nicolas Cage was this incredible, like world-renowned Michelin chef in Seattle that everyone knew. And It's very sad. His wife died and he like lost it and was now living off in the woods, like finding the truffles with the pig. And like the whole process is him trying to get his pig back. But you could tell it was this like madness and obsession with cooking, because every time somebody would recognize him, they're like, oh my God, Chef Pell or whatever. Yeah, it's you. Oh, Chef. And he's all nasty. Yeah. And he's gotten beat up, right? Because they stole his pig. So he's all like bloody. And they're like, do you need medical attention? He's like, no. And he sees one of these old chefs that he was like, I fired you in 2 months. Yeah. It was like 10 years ago. He was this front chef or something. He was like, you kept overcooking the pasta. And he talked, the guy was, in this high-end restaurant, like really proud of these ingredients that he's using. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, what do you mean, chef? He's like, what did you want to do? He's like, I don't remember. He's like, you wanted to start like an English pub. And he's like, the guy starts freaking out. He's like, yeah, but nobody wants pub. He's like, do you remember the number one item? And it's like, the guy starts rattling it off. He's like on the verge of crying. He's just breaking this guy down. He's like, none of this matters. These people don't matter. And you're like, oh my God. Nicolas Cage just destroys the guy. But it was this just obsession with having it just right. And at the end of the movie, he makes this meal for somebody who you find out had stolen his pig. And he makes this meal for the guy and gets the guy to like start crying because he's like, I remember every meal I ever cooked for everyone. And it's like 15 years prior or something. Right? And dude, like that's like the real world of high-end mastery of cooking. Like it just seems this obsession. I've never had that experience in the culinary arts, but I remember in my journey through jiu-jitsu, just being obsessed. Like I'd be at work running positions through my head all day, every day. That's all I would think about. And I got really good, really fast. But like even that, I was really good for like not the like high-end pro, but the high-end pros, man, like they sleep on the mats, they dream jiu-jitsu, like that's all they do. And it's like, that's how you get that last step of like, okay, now you're the master.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I had some jiu-jitsu guys that used to work for me.
I'm eating another bite of this. I mean, here we go.
Yeah,
look at this.
Oh my God. Did you bite into an apple? What is that? Oh my goodness. That was awesome.
Oh my God. God
bless
That's
America. Great.
Keep talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the jiu-jitsu guys, they have a lot of discipline. There's a lot of discipline into those guys. And discipline usually means integrity, loyalty. Those are qualities that I'm looking for. That are you truly following the recipes that I'm telling you to do? Are you adding your flair? Or are you doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, this is what we're doing. This is the flavor spec. This is what's up. Because any combination of minus this or plus that just changes the full power and how it just hits your palate. Right. So you want to make sure that like you surround yourself with people that like share the same values that you do. Like, and that's what I love about like, Hoagland Meat is like they have the highest standards when it comes to processing anything, when it comes to like, when we intake cattle, we don't use metal products to get them in there. If they're being fussy, if it's a blind cow, like, we take care of them like, they're our pet, like in the backyard. Obviously, there's a process, and that's how you get meat on your table, but we'll gladly do it for you so that you can bypass that.
Yeah. When you talk about people going out on their own, there was actually a buddy of mine from jiu-jitsu years ago, also happened to be a high-end cabinet maker. And we were redoing our kitchen. I couldn't afford his cabinets, but I asked him, I was like, could you come help me install them? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So he comes and does the install. And I'm watching him go through this process of install, and he's taking everything down to a 16th of an inch, like zero wiggle room, all these things. And he was being overly, with like these one-off little tasks, he was being overly precise. And I was like, his name was Chris as well. I was like, Chris, why do you do that? And he was like, it's not a good habit. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, it's not a good habit to not do that. Yeah. And ultimately what I realized, he's like, listen, I have to do this when nobody's watching. I have to do it when nobody thinks it matters, because that's who I have to become as a cabinet maker if I am only going to do just precisely sometimes and then not other times, like that just makes me into an ineffective cabinet maker.
Yes.
And it's that concept of doing something when no one's watching. Like, are you producing the highest quality when no one's watching?
Yeah.
Is that like who you are as a person? And you can't get to that top end if you're just like, oh, I'll turn it on, turn it off, especially in cooking. It's like if nobody's looking and you just kind of throw or you just kind of fib it, it's like, dude, it's all over.
Exactly.
God.
How you do something is how you do everything.
God damn it. That's
I can tell who you are just by looking at your hand, how you're looking at your eyes, how you're standing, and how you shake my hand. Speaks volumes. Speaks volumes. How do you carry yourself around other people? How do you surround yourself with large crowds? How do you handle pressure? How you handle pressure and feedback. If you can handle both of those, man, you're going to be really successful.
Do you think that there is a time in your career when you became a worse critic than any external critic? Because in rowing, I was a rower in college, and our coach always was like, listen, you know what you're doing. You can see your oar. You can see how hard you're pulling. Why are you asking me? Because, it's like an 18-year-old like, hey, how does it look? He's like, you got 2 eyeballs. What do you think? It looks like, you think it looks good? I'm like, no, it looks terrible. It's like, exactly. It looks terrible. The whole emphasis is like, listen, there's 16 guys on the team. And if all 16 of those guys need my attention, then each of you at best gets 1/16 of my attention.
Yes.
Right? If all 16 of those guys become their own harshest critics, I don't even need to do anything because I got 16 coaches here all knowing what it should look like.
Yes.
Right? In your journey, did that start to become the guiding principle of like you're noticing things that nobody else even noticed, but you're like, I know you don't see it, but it has to be better.
Yeah. Well, it basically comes to what's your standard, right? Where do you lie in what you do? Are you trying to meet the minimum health standards, which you should always strive to do? I would always say, like, I'm not going to applaud a fish for swimming,
Right.
but if you try to go above and beyond what you're doing, I'm going to applaud you because you're trying to do a little bit more than what's expected. Okay, well, cool. Once you hit that goal or crush it, like, are you moving the bars? Are you moving the metrics? That's how I treat other people. I always try to find the diamond in the rough that I can polish, that I can not necessarily manipulate, but train. And sometimes I like them to be a little bit rough because they don't have bad habits instilled in them already, right? You're getting something that you can shape, that you can mold. There's different types of love, man, and tough love. Sometimes you learn the best, right? And you take more tough love in the heat of a battle if that guy's in the battle with you. Right? Yeah. Because you're both sharing a moment. And if he sees a certain perspective that's going to make you better and have you avoid this situation, if you really, deep down get that gut check, you're going to be like, you know what? He's absolutely right. Right? He's just trying to make me better. I'm just taking this personal. Don't take it personal. It's not about you. It's about X. If X plus Y equals Z, I'm going to pay you lots of money.
I'm going to pay you
lots of money. Yeah, because I'm going to be like, hey, yes, chef. I didn't say I know exactly what you need, right? Because you're on the same page. Every day we do the same dance. Sometimes it's just with a different partner. Mm-hmm. That's it. But I always say, like, when I come to work, I have my routine, right? I have my routine so I can be successful, so I can be effective, right? Certain times I'm taking temperature. Certain times I'm walking through my coolers to make sure that they're at temperature. I'm walking through. When's the last time I seen you change your glove? Wash your hands. Do this. Do that. Routines, man. I cannot get enough of routines and systems. Those two things, man. Watch out. You're going to be effective.
Yeah. Chris, listen to me. I can't thank you enough for this meal. I can't thank you enough for this steak. This is the best meat I've ever had. I mean, I don't even know what to say. How can people get Hoagland?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're obviously an incredible chef, but I think there's no way you get this piece of meat I don't care how you're cooking. There's no way you get this meat if you guys are running a sloppy operation. No hormones, no antibiotics, locally grown. How do people get this?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple ways that you could get our meat. First and foremost, you can find us online at hoaglandmeat.com. Look at our webpage. It's super awesome. It's very user friendly. You just click on those 3 bars, go down. The easiest way to get on track to this, to what you're doing, is sign up for a subscription. If you sign up for a subscription, you're going to save about 10 to 15%, and you can spread out that subscription when you want to. It does not have to be monthly. You can go up to 3 months if you would like to, right? Because we understand that people go on vacation, people travel. They may not need that piece of meat right then and there. You can change it to whatever you want to. You can do it every 3 days. You can get it every 4 days. $40 minimum order is going to get you free delivery to your doorstep. And that's in the Treasure Valley. We do not ship. That way we keep the good stuff for our people.
God bless that, man. And one more question. Obviously, you can order specific cuts and things like that. Do you guys do like quarter, half, and full beef?
Yeah, absolutely. We have all that stuff, so you can give us a jingle.
Give us a jingle.
Give us a jingle. If you speak English, Charity is going to answer the phone for you. If you hablas español, then I will answer the phone for you to take care of your needs and what you want. We have half beefs, we have quarter beefs, we have full beefs. We can process your cow for you. We can do custom cuts, because if it's a call, hey, I'm having a huge party, I'd like 16.5-inch steaks, ribeyes. You got it. Give me about an hour and a half, 2 hours to make it happen. You can pick it up at your leisure. We got you.
God bless it.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate the time you put into this. I mean, obviously, this was an all-day affair, and you traveled all the way out here. Thank you for doing it, and I'd love to have you guys on again and keep showcasing you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's getting to that tri-tip and brisket time. If you like this, man, you're really gonna like my my tri-tips and my briskets, and I mean, my prime dip sandwiches are pretty good too.
Oh my God! Listen, let's make a list. Let's make it happen over the summer for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thank you for coming, Chris. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.